Hello everyone and welcome back. We are approaching the end of the year, can you believe it? And it's always a good time to take stock, I find, and also to maybe start to look ahead a little bit about what's in store for us next year and in the time to come. And I think when we look at museums, culture in general, heritage sites, we have been in for some pretty interesting years over the past sort of maybe 5, 8, 10 years. There are lots of changes going on, and I think museums especially have embarked upon a lot of different discussions and debates. There are some really interesting emerging trends that museums are following in their own way, and it's been really exciting to pick up on. I also think that in the sort of aftermath of COVID, a lot of different things seem to have happened for museums. There are still museums that are impacted greatly by COVID, but also museums who have started to find their own way, find new platforms, new ways of communicating, new ways of researching and interpreting. Simply because COVID was such a massive change and caused a lot of confusion, I think, at first for everybody. But there are also some debates in society that museums have really started to pick up on. And it seems, I think, if you go back just maybe 15 or 20 years, museums are now less afraid of engaging themselves in sometimes very critical discussions, and I find that really encouraging. But I thought it was time to have a look at some trends, some discussions, some subjects that I'm pretty sure museums will immerse themselves in the time to come in very much their own way. Now, these are just some of the trends that I've picked up on, so I would really love to hear what are you working on? What do you think will be the future of museums in the time to come? As always, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, add your comments, you know the drill. Let's dive into this. Let's first have a look at museums and health and sort of the wellness trend that has been emerging for quite some time now. I think museums have already begun exploring the connection between cultural experiences and well-being. Programs for people with dementia or autism, mindfulness sessions, yoga and art galleries. A lot of those kind of initiatives have paved the way for museums to position themselves as wellness hubs. But what about the next step? I think we can imagine exhibitions that are designed as almost therapeutic environments, spaces where design, soundscapes, and even smells are carefully created to reduce anxiety, for example. Museums could also start collaborating with psychologists to create installations that actively improve mental health or offer workshops on coping strategies using art and storytelling. These spaces, I think, have every potential to become sort of refuge for stressed people who are stressed or maybe have problems with anxiety or other sort of kinds of mental health problems. I think especially when it comes to mental health, museums are already well ahead. And I think maybe the next steps will involve physical health as well. And probably collaborations with health institutions, maybe even with hospitals or doctors. And I think there are a lot to be gained around this. So I'm really excited to see where we are going with this subject especially. Museums and climate change. I think the climate crisis is one of the defining issues of our time, really. And museums are uniquely equipped to help people understand its complexity. A lot of museums have already been hosting exhibitions about climate science, and a lot of museums are also taking a more active role and becoming kind of eco-innovation hubs in a way. I think museums are already partnering up with local environmental groups, and to showcase solutions for sustainable living as well. And I think some museums are already setting amazing examples, building green roofs, using solar energy, designing exhibition with sustainable materials. And I think, just imagine if we could walk through an exhibition where every detail, right down to the lighting and display cases, is designed to minimize the carbon footprint while educating visitors on how they can do the same in their daily lives. I think we are approaching that stage very rapidly, actually. Now, museums as platforms for social justice is an interesting one. I think in an era of increasing social awareness, museums are reimagining themselves as spaces for activism. I think if we go back to just when I started out studying museums and interpretation, that was something museums was very reluctant about, because they didn't really want to offend or go into discussions where they risk becoming the sort of center of too much critical debate. But I think museums are starting to embrace this now, and I think a lot of them are going pretty far. Imagine museums hosting live debates and workshops about current issues like racial discussions, LGBTG plus rights, or immigrations. These could be accompanied by exhibitions, and not only to inform, but also to challenge biases and spark action. I think some institutions are already showcasing like marginalized voices by involving communities directly in curation. I think that's been the case for a while. But wouldn't it be wonderful if this became the norm? And museums could adopt a co-creative model where visitors and activists shape content ideas in real time, ensuring that their space remain dynamic, inclusive, responsive to societal change. That would really be interesting to see. Digital museums and the hybrid experience. The digital revolution isn't slowing down by any means. And museums are embracing hybrid experiences to reach wider audiences. And I think especially we saw this coming up after COVID, where everyone was at home. Just imagine being able to walk through a digital twin of a museum from anywhere in the world. Instead of it just being a passive experience, visitors could interact with artifacts in new ways, zooming in on details, watching them come to life through augmented reality, even hearing AI-powered narrations and so on. I think museums are exploring virtual reality for fully immersive experiences a lot already, and allow visitors to step back in time or enter an artist's world and so on. And in the future, we might see holographic guides, AI curators answering questions in real time. And I think there are so many things around this that are not at all explored yet. I dive into it a little bit in a video I did not long ago about AI, so have a look at that one. But there are, I think, a lot of interesting things to come around this. Museums as community makerspaces. Now, the idea of visitors co-creating in museums is growing fast. Museums are vibrant spaces where people gather to learn new skills, to share knowledge, to create together, and so on. And it would be very easy, I think, to imagine how we can expand on this, and having museums create and have visitors joining a 3D printing workshop to create ancient artifacts, or participating in a storytelling session and so on, where you share your own cultural history. And I think these makerspaces wouldn't just serve individuals, they could foster connection between diverse communities as well. For example, let's say a museum might host a cooking workshop where refugee communities share their culinary traditions, or a tech lab where students collaborate on innovative projects. This is really an opportunity to transform spaces where visitors become creators and not just spectators. Now, the intergenerational and inclusive debate is interesting as well. I think museums have for a long time been designing experiences that appeal to all ages and abilities, but this could very much be taken a step further. I mean, imagine exhibitions that shift their tone, language, interactivity depending on the visitor. So a child might see playful animations explaining a historical event, while an adult view detailed historical documents or something in the same display. Intergenerational programming could expand to include activities like family escape room, time travel, role-playing games, where each generation contributes with their own unique skills. And this is a way where museums could deepen their focus on accessibility, use technology to make exhibitions fully inclusive for also neurodivergent individuals, people with disabilities, or non-native speakers. So this is really an interesting field as well that I think is expanding immensely. Museums as centers for speculative futures. Now, what if museums didn't just preserve the past and present, but also helped us imagine the future? Some museums are already experimenting with speculative design, showcasing like futuristic concepts, like let's say life on Mars or AI-run cities and so on. But this could evolve into entire exhibitions where visitors actively shape what the future might look like. Imagine interactive workshops where visitors design future technologies or social systems. Museums could partner up with futurists and think tanks to create immersive environments that ask, what if? And start exploring what if such and such. These speculative futures wouldn't just entertain, but they would help visitors think critically about the challenges and opportunities ahead. Museums as personalized learning hubs. Education, I think, and learning has always been central to museums. And I think we do see trends around a more personalized approach. But imagine museums using, for example, AI to analyze visitors' interests and learning styles, creating customized tours that focus on their preferences instead of, this traditional one-size-fits-all experience. Each could have their own journey tailored to their curiosity. I think we're already seeing this a little bit. This could extend beyond exhibitions to include personalized workshops, lectures, or even mentorship programs. So museums effectively become lifelong learning centers offering courses and certifications in history, art, science, and much more. And visitors wouldn't just leave with inspiration, they would actually leave with tangible skills. I think the future of museums is really, really interesting and filled with possibilities right now. Everything from health, well-being to environmental sustainability, social justice, speculative futures. Museums are becoming more dynamic and impactful than ever. There are risks, of course, there are challenges, there are financial issues, and all of that's still it's a great impact on what we do and how we can do it, and also how much we can do. But I think what excites me the most right now is how museums are positioning themselves at the heart of our communities, fostering connections, sparking conversations, and inspiring change. I think especially the way museums have started to really embrace change is so fascinating to see, and something that I know I've been focusing on for a long time, because change was something museums, even back when I started, and it wasn't that long ago, believe it or not, but it wasn't really something they were keen to do back then. I think change was something we were maybe a little afraid of, even just 15, 20 years ago. So this is incredibly encouraging, I think, and really, really bodes well for the future. What do you think the future of museums will look like? It's always hard to predict, especially about the future, but I think there are some interesting trends emerging, and there are definitely some very, very exciting and I think incredibly interesting projects coming up in a lot of museums. And I think we will also see museums in a way become more individual. A museum is not just a museum anymore. A lot of museums have really taken on their own style, their own almost their own personality in a way, in their strategy, and I think good for them. There are many different approaches to looking after our shared past and to communicating it. And I really welcome this. I think there's going to be some exciting things to come in the future. I would like to wish you all a very happy new year, and thank you so much for your support over the years. It's been really exciting to set up this channel. It's been running for quite some time now. I started doing these videos actually during COVID. So it was a very special time and I remember a bit of nerve-wracking time to start making videos like this. But I want to say thank you so much for your support, for tuning in, and I wish you all a very happy new year. Hopefully see you in the new year.